Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of College Sucks. I'm your host, Davis Samantha Davidson, a student affairs professional who has been in college most of my life. And today, we're talking about something that can make or break your entire college experience. What is it? Habits. We all have habits, good ones, bad ones, and some ones that we don't even realize that we have. In this episode, we're pulling insights from some of the best books on habit building to help you make changes that stick. College Sucks, episode 18. Success starts with your habits. Stay tuned. Author Brian Tracy says, successful people are simply those with successful habits. Habits are the little things that we do daily, right? Whether intentionally or not. Habits are the things that will determine how successful, stressed, or burnt out we become. But how do we create habits that help us rather than hurt us? Well, this week, that's all I'm talking about. We're going to break down using advice from experts like James Clear, whose book I am telling everybody about. I read it every summer, Atomic Habits, Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit, and Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And we're going to cover the good habits that save your life, the bad habits that ruin your life, the ugly, the habits that you cannot account for, but they're there and they can harm you if you don't check them before they become too late. And then finally, the most important thing, how to change your habits with proven strategies from these books that I've read. And I know even if I tell you to do it, some of you won't. So I'm here to share the advice with you. All right, so let's get into it quickly. We have no time to waste. Good habits won't make college easy because college is not easy. We don't establish that already. It's one of the toughest places you will ever spend a lot of money to go. But if you have good habits, it will make it more manageable. And so here are some of the good habits that students are already employing and that you should probably try if you want to get a handle of things. So time blocking and scheduling. James Clear suggests that habits are easier when they're tied to a specific time and place. So instead of being vague and saying, okay, I'm going to study later, you need to be specific. At 7:30, I am going to start studying at Student Services Center, the library, or under a tree somewhere. All right. The next habit that you need to get into, and I cannot stress this enough, I feel like this is where a lot of students drop down. College is hard, but it does not mean that you should not sleep. It also doesn't mean that you should oversleep. Please note that oversleeping is a sign that you are trying to cope with something, and you should probably talk to someone about that, all right? Or it could be that you have deficiencies in iron. Like if you find yourself sleeping a little bit too much, you need to talk to a doctor. But undersleeping, actually not sleeping at all. Like I have students who will say, oh, over the last 4 days, I've gotten a combined 20 hours sleep. That's not good enough, right? Sleep is a keystone habit. Charles Duhigg says that it impacts everything from your memory retention to emotional stability. So sometimes you find yourself overeating. Sometimes you find yourself upset for no reason. Everything is a problem. You feel hot. You just cannot bother. And it could be that you're sleep deprived. So you need to make sleep a priority. It needs to be something that is a non-negotiable, and you should try to get sleep the same time every night. So when you work out your daily schedule with all the obligations that you have, you need to have a sleep schedule that puts you to bed the same time every night so that you can wake up the same time every morning. And then your productivity definitely will increase. Another thing to do is habit stacking. Habit stacking for productivity. And this is one of Claire's top methods. So he says you should link a new habit to a habit that you already have, something you already do. So I know that when you live on campus, you're in communal living. But for those of you that live in your own homes or you're renting somewhere, one of the things that you have to do or should do before you go to classes in the morning is have a shower and brush your teeth. Would it be a good thing? Could it be helpful for you to put all the tasks that you have to do for the day, write them, and stick a post-it on your mirror or somewhere where you will see it on the refrigerator? If you are living communally, you might stick it on the mirror that's assigned to you in your room or somewhere where you will see it. So just one of the things that you are already doing, you will just add a habit to it. So if you wake up in the morning and you exercise, you might want to record your to-do list on your phone and you can listen to it while you are exercising so that it goes into your brain subconsciously as a list of things that you have to do for the day. The next thing is to have daily self-check-ins. And Covey says that this is an important thing for effective people. So he emphasized the importance of sharpening the saw, which means regularly assessing how you're doing mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I always have this joke where I say to people that, I was talking to myself and I said, self, you are tired. Okay, you have a little bit too much going on. And so you really need to take some time to have a good night's sleep, have some good rest. And it sounds funny, but something as simple as that. If you journal, maybe journaling, if you have somebody that you talk to every day, maybe a rundown of your day to see what went well, what could have been improved, what was completely awful and you don't want to see it again. Checking in with yourself is a good habit to develop so that you are aware of your triggers, the things that make you feel good. And listen, if you watch competitive athletes, if you pay attention to your favorite footballer, your favorite track athlete, anybody who you admire, if you are following them and they're sharing with you the things that they do to be successful, checking in with themselves is one of the things that works for them. All right, so let's get into your bad habits. Okay, these have the potential to ruin your college experience and further down in life, your life experiences. So you have to be careful. The truth of the matter is that bad habits often start with small compromises. The thing where you say, oh, me do it later. Oh, me'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I saw it go, me just forget and that's that. A lot of times I have students, they'll say to me, I have a class with them or a meeting with them and they're like, oh, miss, I fell asleep and I forgot. And there seems to be no remorse, no accountability, nothing. You can't operate like that. Those are the small things that you do that add up. And I'm telling you that your life is a series of habits. The quality of it is the quality of your habits. So let's talk about some of the bad habits that you have developed and let's see if we can modify them. So procrastination as a lifestyle. Claire explains that we procrastinate because our brains prioritize immediate rewards over future ones. So what can you do? Well, he suggests that you make studying feel rewarding by using a temptation bundle. So, for example, when you're studying, when you're doing your Pomodoros, it would be good to have some music that you like, not distracting music, but music that you like playing so that you associate this task with something enjoyable. Or you might put the reward at the end. When the alarm rings, I'm going to listen to my favorite song. I'm going to watch a short video for no longer than 5 minutes. But you need to make your pleasure center connect the things you have to do with something that makes you happy. I hope you're getting that and understanding that. When I started my exercise routine, and I must confess, I exercise, but it's not something I enjoy. One of the things that I will definitely look forward to is the meal I'm going to have as soon as I'm done with the session. So when I go for my morning walks, I start to imagine, especially close to the end, what I'm going to be having for breakfast. It just gives me that little push, that little dopamine to hurry up and get back into my flat or home so that I can enjoy something that I actually like. The next thing you do that will definitely land you in problems is overcommitting, and this leads to burnout. So Covey warns about the urgent but unimportant tasks, things that feel necessary but don't serve your long-term goals. And I'm going to go back to the phone on this one. The number of times you'll be having a serious conversation with a student about a matter that they've actually come to you to talk about, and they just cannot seem to let the phone ring. And all the person wants to know is where they are. And this could be your roommate. It's not like you have the key. It's not like you're lost. You just cannot. So it's the immediacy of the phone. The phone commands so much attention that you are just constantly paying attention to it when there's really nothing urgent going on in there. Not every phone call is a must take. Not every notification is a must read. You have to make sure that you're not just busy. You need to ensure that you're productive, right? A lot of times we're busy, but we're not productive. At the end of the day, whatever you are doing must serve your long-term goals. So it's very important. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be involved in co-curricular things, because the whole point of college is learning balance between academic rigor and having a social life and participating and trying new things. So it's very important. And those are commitments too. If you play a sport, if you're involved in your sporting house, if you make commitments to do particular things, you just need to add it to your schedule and to make sure that it is feasible. When you go for a job, one of the things that they will always ask you about is your ability to work with others. And co-curricular helps you to develop those habits, to learn that the world is made up of all types and how to manage that. It's literally a skill. So I'm not saying that you're going to be in your books all the time and that productivity is only academic work. It is not. You still have to clean your room. You still have to cook your dinner. You still have obligations, the family, your relationship, your friends. There are things that you are supposed to be committed to, but overcommitting is where the issue lies. So you need to make sure that before you say yes to something, you look at your schedule. You don't blindly say yes. Somebody says to you, "Oh, can I meet you at 5 on a Thursday?" You need to know that 5 on Thursdays you are not available, because that is a fixed, non-changeable time that you use to do something. So just ensure that you're not overcommitting. Learning to say no is actually a habit that will save your life. And it's not that you're saying no to everything, but you're considering. Don't let anyone back you into a corner and tell you that, "Oh, we need an answer." No, you need to think about it, and you need to make sure that it fits into your schedule. Another bad habit that you need to pay attention to is overspending. A lot of times, especially persons who are in universities overseas, like the US is credit central. And having studied there, I will tell you, if you do not find a way, even if you're studying locally in your own countries, your own islands, if you do not find a way to learn how to manage money from university, it's going to be a big challenge for you in life. Right? And just know this part is not completely your fault, because it's a dopamine hit. As soon as you go on any of these social media sites, they're selling you something. It's free to you, but advertisers have paid a lot of money for your attention. And the aim at the end of the day is to give you enough triggers for you to want to buy. So anything you've commented on, anything you spend a lot of time looking at, they're trying to sell it to you. And so you really need to get into the habit of being fiscally responsible. As a matter of fact, you should probably follow influencers who talk about financial literacy, investing, and spending wisely. Now, I know several of my listeners will probably follow Nicole McLaren Campbell. And one of the things she spoke about was how when she was in university, she actually ran up her credit cards. When you're in the United States, they offer you cards from very early because they work off a credit based system. And so she said she used to order pizzas and that kind of thing. And, her credit card bill was going up. It's where you really develop the habit. And she had to work on being more fiscally responsible. And that was something that she spoke about repeatedly over the last number of years. So if you don't have to necessarily look to me for financial advice because I'm still practicing getting a handle on it. But if you want to be successful, at the end of the day, it is what you have. What are the things that you have to make your life more comfortable? And if you get into the habit of overspending, mindlessly spending from university, it's going to be very hard, because then you're some of you are playing with somebody else's money. It's your parents' money, it's your spouse's money, or you have a part-time job. But when you start to make your actual own money, you have not developed the habits to manage it properly. So it's very important that you pay attention to that, and to know that the aim of all these social media sites that you are on is to sell you things. So you need to be aware of unconscious spending patterns and replace them with intentional habits. Get into the habit of preparing your own meals. It's healthier for you. It's better. You know exactly what's in there, as opposed to just always buying fast food and food meals from cook shops. You can't just always be spending money in that way. So let's talk about some of those ugly habits, right? The habits you didn't even realize that you had. These are really habits that you need to shake if you're going to be able to manage life properly. So the first one is doom scrolling instead of sleeping. From university, a lot of people who have sleep disorders, unless it's genetic, developed it from the habit of not going to bed. I cannot stress enough how important sleep is for your memory retention, for everything that you're learning, all of that. I've said it. So checking your phone before bed, the blue light and the dopamine hits tricks your brain into staying awake, and it makes it harder for you to stay asleep, to fall asleep and to stay asleep. So you really need to set a rule or a timer or an alarm or something that lets you know that it's time for you to go to your bed. You need to make sure that you're off the phone within 30 minutes of your routine, non-negotiable sleep time. And listen, I'm not saying you have to be like me. You don't have to be in bed by 8:30. But whatever time you decide it is, because some people are night people and that's their prime time, you need to consistently stick to it for the 5 days of the week if possible, so that you will have a healthy sleep pattern. The next thing is that you avoid hard conversations. Hard conversations are a part of life. You cannot go around them. Avoidance becomes a habit, and before you know it, you are stuck in uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable relationships, a bad roommate, a bad class, a bad professor. The habit builds. So you need to figure out ways to address things that are an issue for you from early, not in an aggressive way. That does not help anybody. And if you need some tips about that, please go back to my episode about Nunchi. That can definitely help you to navigate difficult conversations. But please do not avoid them, because in the grown-up world, there will be things that you have paid for that either don't get delivered to you or get delivered to you damaged, and you're going to have to be able to speak up for yourself. There's not going to be a student services manager to go and speak on your behalf. Your mom won't do it, your dad won't do it. You will have to get in the habit of speaking up for yourself at work, speaking up for yourself in a lot of situations. That's just how life is set up. So you need to get into the habit of recognizing red flags from very early, addressing them in a way that makes you comfortable, and don't let anybody language you into not speaking up for yourself by saying, oh, you're so confrontational. You are the problem and I want to talk about it. Don't let anybody stop you from addressing issues that are of concern to you. The next thing is letting small losses spiral. So you had a bad day and you let it leak into the next day. So you didn't go to class on Monday. You still didn't feel great. You don't go on Tuesday. And then the next thing you know, it's Friday and you haven't gone to any classes. You need to not let something turn into a trend, because trends are habits and it's what your body knows. So if you miss an assignment, you fail a test, the habit of quitting when things go wrong is very dangerous. Okay. So Claire gives you some guidance on this. He says, do not let 2 days pass with you skipping a habit. 2 days is the limit. You have to move today to get out of it. You have no more than 2 days to wallow in the mess. You have to get up and get busy. Well, now we're at the part of the podcast that I really want you to focus. We are going to be looking at how to change your habits. Okay? So here's the thing. James Clear says, and this is my favorite quote, I say it to myself, I say it to others, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fail to the level of your systems. Most people set these big goals, right? So I want to make the principal's honor roll. I want a 4.0 GPA. I want to stop procrastinating. I want to be more productive. But they fail because their daily systems do not support these goals. There's nothing wrong with the goals, but the system to support them, they're not good. As a matter of fact, a lot of times they're not in place. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. So if you are going to be successful, you need a system that will become your whole persona, right? If you want to be a productive person, you have to adopt the persona of a productive person. And a productive person has systems. If you don't have a system in place for studying, managing your time, or reducing distractions, no amount of vision boarding, goal setting, vision movies, none of those will save you. So let's jump right into it. How do you fix your systems? Well, the first thing is that you need to make it obvious. This means creating clear cues or signals that trigger your desired behavior. This can involve environmental changes, setting reminders, or anything that makes the habit more visible. A good example is to place your workout clothes where you will see them. Leave your book on the counter to read, or put your medication by the sink so you remember to take it. That's a way in which you can make things obvious. The next thing is that you need to make your habits attractive. Reward yourself for doing the habits. For example, if you complete an assignment early, treat yourself to your favorite snack. So you do what you have to do to make it attractive. So for me, working out, I make sure my workout clothes make me feel good. I'm excited to put them on, and then once you put them on, well, you need to go outside and work out in them. So I have definitely made the habit appealing by making it attractive. The next thing is to make it easy. Covey suggests focusing on small, consistent actions rather than huge changes. And can I tell you, this is the stumbling block for a lot of people with habits. You know that you need to exercise, and then what you do is you start with a 5K walk. You are going to be sore. You are going to feel tired. You're not going to want to do it. The goal is too big. It's too big of a chunk of a thing to want to do. You have to make it easy. Habits have to start small. So if you want to start exercising, don't plan for an hour at the gym at all. That's not going to work. Start with 5 minutes. You can do 5 minutes. And then the good thing is that your pleasure center is just in heaven once you accomplish the easy thing of 5 minutes. It might seem too small for you, but listen, you're coming from zero. From 0 to 5 minutes is huge. So starting with small, consistent actions is what makes the most sense. And then the final tip is to make it satisfying. Now, there are tons of apps that are available for you to use as checklist and for habit tracking. I'll give you some examples here. So let's start with Loop Habit Tracker, and this is available on Android devices, iPhone users. It has no apps, it's open source, and it's offline friendly. Loop Habit Tracker. You can check that out. The next app is Habitica, and that's available on iOS, Android, and web browsers. It turns habits into a fun RPG game, and I know how much you love a dopamine hit. We all do. So Habitica is one of those apps that you can try, and then there is Everyday, available on iOS and Android, which is a streak-based, easy-to-use app. For study and productivity focus, you may consider Tick. That's available on iOS, Android, and web, and it's a task manager with habit tracking. You can also try Habit Hub, Android only, simple streak-based tracking with reminders. And of course, good old faithful Google Calendar and Task, available in iOS, Android, and web. Not a habit app, but great for scheduling study habits. Okay, so there you have some tools that can also help you on your habit train. And as Claire says, what gets measured gets improved. So you definitely need to track your progress. And it's so satisfying when you realize that you have a streak going and you've been getting into the mix of things and definitely seeing results. But please, I encourage every student, you don't have to read the 3 books, but if you have to choose one, and this is not sponsored, but everybody has spoken about it, you need to read Atomic Habits. It is a fantastic book. I read it every year because, sometimes you just need a reminder of what to do, especially when you're trying to make a change, when you're being intentional and deliberate. There is nothing wrong with a refresher. So definitely try to get Atomic Habits. So here are my closing thoughts. College doesn't suck because it's impossible. It sucks when you don't have the right habits to handle it. But the good news is you can choose to get what habits you build. So start small, be consistent, and make your future self proud. Thanks for tuning in to College Sucks. If this episode helped you, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Please, again, like, share, repost, subscribe. I want to have an impact and I need more visibility, and you can definitely with that. And I am hoping that listening to my podcast is a part of the new habits that you will be forming to help you to get through college successfully. Thanks again for listening. Bye.